Imagine coming home after a long day at work, craving peace, and realize someone else is already there, someone who doesn't belong. It was quiet evening in my small apartment on the edge of town. After a long day at work, I wanted nothing more than to kick off my shoes, heat up some leftovers, and binge watch my favorite show. As I stepped into my apartment building, I noticed the hallway was eerily silent, more so than usual. I lived in a ground floor until, and my apartment had a small basement that I rarely used. It was mostly for storage, old boxes, broken furniture, and forgotten junk. I dropped my bag on the couch and headed to the kitchen. That's when I noticed the first odd thing. The basement door I always kept shut was slightly ajar. I froze for a moment, staring at the door. Had I left it open? No, I was sure I hadn't. A draft of cold air brushed past me, sending a shiver down my spine. Shaking it off, I convinced myself it was nothing. Maybe I hadn't latched it properly the last time I had down there. I closed the door and locked it. Later that evening, as I sat it on the couch, I heard it a faint creaking sound, like footsteps coming from below. I muted the TV, holding my breath. The sound come again, slow and deliberate. My heart raced. Was someone down there? I grabbed my phone and a flashlight. Slowly, I approached the basement door. My hand trembled as I unlocked it. The stair drenched into darkness, the air heavy with a damp metallic smell. Hello, I called out, my voice shaking. No response. I took a deep breath and began to descend. The flashlight beam cutting through the shadows. At the bottom, the faint sound of breathing made my stomach drop. I scanned the room, my flashlight landing on the far corner. There, crouched behind a stack of boxes, was a man. His clothes were filthy, his hair wild, and his eyes wide with fear. He held a broken bottle in his hand, pointing it towards me like a weapon. Stay back, he hissed. I stumbled back, my heart pounding in my ears. Who are you? What are you doing here? He didn't answer, just kept his makeshift weapon raised. I realized he looked more scared than threatening. I called the police, I said, keeping my voice steady. The police arrived within minutes. They coaxed the man out of the basement, handcuffing him gently. He was homeless, they told me, and had broken in weeks ago, using the basement as shelter. I couldn't sleep that night. The image of his wild eyes burned into my mind. Though he was gone, the feeling of someone else's presence in my house, a chilling reminder that even the safest space can be invaded. It was a cool fall evening. Even my friends and I decided to spend the night at Jack's house. Jack lived in a quiet neighborhood, the kind where nothing ever seemed to happen. His parents were out of the weekend, So it was just the four of us, Jack, Sarah, Mike and me. We planned a night of pizza, games and movies. Jack's house was cozy but a bit old, with creaking floors and dim lighting. It wasn't creepy at least, not at first. But the time we settled in, the house was filled with laughter and the glow of the TV. Nothing felt out of the ordinary. Around midnight, Mike and I went to grab snacks from the kitchen. As we passed the living room, I noticed something was strange. The curtains were slightly pulled back, as if someone had been peeking in. Did you do that? I asked Mike, pointing to the window. He shook his head. No, maybe Jack did. He shrugged it off, though I couldn't shake the feeling that we were being watched. A little later, Sarah said he heard footsteps upstairs. I thought your parents were out of town, she said to Jack. They are, Jack replied, looking uneasy. We all laughed nervously, joking around ghosts and haunted houses. But deep down, we all felt that something wasn't right. Unable to sleep, Mike and I decided to explore the house. Hoping to prove nothing was wrong, we checked the doors and windows, making sure everything was locked. When we reached the back door, my heart sank. The lock was broken and the door was slightly ajar. Jack, I whispered loudly, motioning him over. He came running, his face turning pale when he saw the door. I locked that earlier, he muttered. Before we could say anything else, we heard a loud thud from upstairs. We froze someone's hair, Mike whispered. Jack grabbed a baseball bat from the closet and we slowly kept up the stairs. My hands were trembling and I could feel my heart pounding in my chest. At the top of the stairs, we noticed one of the bedroom doors was slightly open. Jack knocked the door with the bat, revealing a man rummaging through the parents' dresser. The man whispered out, his face as surprised as ours. I thought this house was empty, he yelled before bolting past us, shoving us out of the way. We chased him down the stairs, but he was too fast. He darted out the broken back door and disappeared into the night. The police arrived shortly after we called. They found a bag of stolen items hidden outside but couldn't locate the intruder. We tried to laugh it off, pretending we were fine, but the truth was none of us felt safe that night. Every key, every shadow felt like a warning. Even now, whenever I passed Jack's house, I couldn't help but glance at the window, half expecting to see someone staring back. Moving into my new apartment was supposed to be a fresh start. It was a modest one-bedroom unit in a quiet complex, tucked away after the chaos of the city. Everything about it seemed perfect: affordable rent, friendly neighbors, and even a little basement storage for my extra boxes. The first few days were uneventful. I spent my time unpacking, arranging furniture, and trying to make the space feel like home. But then small things started to go missing. My favorite coffee mug, a pair of socks, a book I've been reading. At first I thought I was just being forgetful. Maybe I misplaced them during the move. But when I found my laptop bag unzipping, my wallet slightly shifted. A chill ran down my spine. I knew I hadn't done that. One evening, after coming home from work, I noticed the basement door slightly ajar. I was certain I locked it earlier. The thought of someone sneaking around my apartment made my stomach churn. Grabbing a flashlight, I stepped towards the door. The air grew colder as I descended the creak wooden stairs. The basement was dimly lit by a single flickering bulb, casting long, airy shadows across the space. As I stepped further in, I heard a faint rustling noise coming from behind an old shelving unit. My heart raced. Is someone there? I called out, my voice trembling. From a moment there was silence. Then from the shadows a man emerged. His clothes were dirty and tattered, his face gaunt and pale. He looked just as startled as I felt. Please, he said, raising his hand defensively, don't call the police. I stood frozen, gripping the flashlight like a weapon. Who are you? What are you doing here? He lowered his eyes, shifting nervously. I've been staying here. I thought the place was empty. I glanced around and noticed a makeshift bed tucked in the corner, a pile of blankets, and a small stack of food. My missing coffee mug sat next to a half-eaten sandwich. How long have you been here? I demanded. A few weeks, he admitted. I didn't mean to scare you, I just needed a place to stay. Before I could respond, he bolted toward the stairs. Shoving past me, I stumbled, nearly dropping the flashlight, and heard his hurried footsteps echoing up to the apartment. Panicking, I grabbed my phone and dialed 911. By the time I reached the main door, the man was gone, the back door swinging open in his wake. The police arrived quickly and searched the area, but the man had been vanished. They assured me he likely wouldn't return, but I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. I changed the locks and had the basement door sealed. Yet every creak of the floorboards at night keep me awake. If you are moving in a new place, always double check your locks, inspect every corner, and trust your guts when something feels off. You never know who or what might be hiding just out of sight.